path here. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, maybe this. Share. Okay. Does this look like you're looking at my slides now?
Yes, I can see
Awesome.
him. Yeah.
Great. All right. Well, welcome everyone to Get Ready to Graduate. I am one of your advisors, Renee Finnemore, and I will let Adriana go ahead and introduce herself too.
And I'm Adriana Kelly. And if you are graduating this fall and you haven't submitted your intent to graduate, you've already heard from me today.
That's right. That's right. So, and we have Miss Kutchman here. Do you want to say hi?
Hi, everybody. Happy to be here. I'm one of the field faculty with the online program.
Great. Thank you so much for being here. So Ms. Kutchman's going to talk to us later about getting started in the field, and you'll be able to ask her all kinds of good questions. So, all right. So thinking about today, the big things we're going to cover, Adriana kind of gave a sneak peek on that intent to graduate. What does that mean? And completing the capstone. You'll hear more about that soon. We're going to talk about celebrating your graduation, be it commencement or our virtual celebration that we offer. We're going to talk to you about career services, getting licensed, requesting transcripts, letters that you might need as you're getting started. And then, like I said, Ms. Kutchman's here to talk about early career experiences. So what you might want to know when you're getting started. So Adriana, you want to start us off with that ITG?
Sure. If you want to graduate, you need to file an intent to graduate. That is a form that you're going to fill out on My UCF. If you are graduating this fall, the deadline is Friday, so October 13th, this Friday. There's only a couple people who haven't done it, so I was in contact with them today. Be sure to get that in, or you will not be able to participate. If you want to walk at graduation or don't want to walk, you still have to file your intent to graduate. For students who are graduating in the spring, your intent to graduate option will open on Monday. And I will be sending out an email to everyone in that cohort to let you know how to fill out your intent to graduate, which we're going to go through here too, but you can be on the lookout for that email starting on Monday. When you complete this intent to graduate, set aside about 20 to 30 minutes to make sure that you fully complete it. You're going to select the college, the program that you're in. We are a non-thesis option. So when you see that listed, you're going to click the non-thesis option. You can put either my name or Renee's name, both of our names. That's fine, where it asks you who your advisor is. Whichever you do will be fine. And then you'll have your expected graduation term listed there. So for those of you graduating in the fall, choose fall 2023, spring 2024, for those of you who are graduating in the spring. In addition to these things, you'll also have the option to complete a UCF survey about your time here. And you might see something called a UCF major survey listed as needing to be completed, but you do not have to do that. So you can safely disregard any notice about a UCF major survey. That's for undergraduate students.
So you'll see coming up in your field course later this semester a link to complete if you're in your final semester. So in Clinical 3, you will complete a capstone assessment. So this will be an assignment. You'll get an email with a personalized link. And essentially, really what we're trying to understand is how effective is the curriculum here in our program? So it asks you questions about the things that you've learned about. So there's no passing score required to graduate. So no matter how well or poorly you do on this assessment, you're still going to graduate if you complete all of your courses successfully, but you must complete the assessment prior to graduation. So this is something that we do to maintain our accreditation for CSWE, and it helps us learn where we need to make improvements in our course content. So, looking ahead, thinking about celebrating you. So, you're finishing your classes and you're getting ready to graduate. And so, what kind of celebrations will there be? So, um, first, and foremost, the online MSW offers a virtual graduation celebration. We do this each semester with graduates. It's really a very intimate time. All of the students in the cohort are invited, faculty and staff attend. You can invite your family and friends to participate as well from wherever they want to log in. And we sort of talk about your time in the program, and then we ask students to create a student spotlight slide. So the way that works is that you will create a single PowerPoint slide, and on it you will include your name, where you live, any career goals. If you have landed a job already, you can tell us about that, or population you want to work with. Some students include a little message to their family and friends, or their favorite quote. You can include photos, and really personalize it however you want to. So this is really your chance to be creative. You don't have to use specific format or backgrounds, anything. You can, whatever you would like to do. So the key though is that you've got to submit it to us prior to the end of your final semester. So if you're graduating this fall, you'll need to email that over to Adriana by December 8th. And if you're graduating in the spring, then you'll want to submit it by April 26th. So you'll see that's the last day of the semester. And what I tell students is when you're on a break, so like you've got that break coming up, right? That is a great time to work on your slide. It will not take you a ton of time. It's not, it's just something that's very personal to you. And here's some examples to give you an idea of what students have done in the past. So some students have just a picture of themselves, maybe a formal picture or a selfie. They might include their family. Some students include multiple pictures. You can really, do whatever you would like with this. So just make sure that you're sending it to us, and you will get a reminder from us as well. But just know that we're going to be looking for that. And then for those of you that can travel to Orlando, you have the opportunity to participate in commencement. So that's a question that you get asked when you file your intent to graduate. So just think of it like this. Intent to graduate is telling the university, I am finishing my program and I want you to issue me my diploma. On that intent to graduate, it asks you, do you want to walk at commencement? So if you think you're going to come here, then you want to check yes. And this website, ucf.edu/graduation, is where you will find all of the information about getting your cap and gown, tickets, where to go, what time, who can I bring, what are the rules about decorating my cap, where do I return my cap and gown, my gown and my hood after I'm done with the ceremony? How do I get my diploma? All of those questions are on this website. So it's been updated for this semester. It's a little tricky. So for you spring grads that are here, just know that the information for your ceremony probably won't be posted until like the beginning of February, end of January, beginning of February, about a month or so into the semesters when they typically update with the new current semester information. So right now, everything on there is about fall. Right now, they're designating 4 tickets to graduation for each graduate. They are indicating that in a few days, I think October 17th, they'll be updating that with a final count of tickets, and that's really based on everyone submitting that intent to graduate and saying whether or not they're planning to walk. So if not a lot of students are planning to walk, there could be additional tickets available. So every once in a while we see that number bump up to 5. What else do we want to tell you about graduation? Adriana, what am I forgetting?
I always like to tell students that if you have an infant in your family that's going to sit on a lap, they still count as a ticket. So just keep that in mind when you're counting who can do it. The other thing is that it's live streamed. So if you don't have enough tickets to invite all of your family to be in the stadium with you, it's live streamed in 2 locations on campus. So your extra family can go there. But also we invite your family to our virtual celebration. So please feel free to, when we share that link with you, to share it with your family so we can all celebrate with you virtually. You'll order your cap and gown through Herff Jones, and that is listed on the commencement website. So you can go there to see the dates and times for when that's. If you're local, you can pick them up. If you are not local, you can have them sent to you. The ceremony lasts approximately 2 hours. Yes, I think
Yeah.
that's it. And then for those of you graduating in the spring, while we don't have the exact date, we know that the weekend it will be is May 2nd to the 4th in 2024.
Yeah. I think a couple other things that come up are I'm not local, so how do I get my tickets? So in that case, if you have someone local who can pick them up for you, you can provide a letter and a copy of your student ID or driver's license, and they can go pick them up for you. Otherwise, just check that commencement website that I mentioned, because there is a phone number on there. You basically call the bookstore and schedule a time to go pick up your tickets before the ceremony. So tickets they do not mail. They'll mail your cap and gown to you, but they will not mail the tickets to you. You have to come and pick those up in person. So if you need more than 4 tickets, we usually suggest that you reach out to other students in your cohort that are graduating to see if they have any. So you could try however your cohort connects, your Facebook group, your WhatsApp group me, whatever. You can also try our online MSW Facebook group, because there are 2 cohorts that graduate in fall, so it's possible that students in the other cohort will have tickets. The only thing to keep in mind though is they only issue tickets to students who order a cap and gown. So classmates who aren't planning to go to commencement and don't order a cap and gown won't have tickets to give to you. So just you're looking for people that are planning to be at commencement and not meeting all of their tickets if you're looking to get some. And then they also will have they have a will call office where they have extra tickets. You can stand in line and try to get some. But then if there's not, it's first come, first serve. So there may or may not be some. All right, moving on. Things to know before you graduate. So these are big things we want to make sure that you think about. Connecting with career services, finding out about the licensure process in your state, and then reaching out to your advisors and success coach to get support now while you still have access to all these resources. So career services, they have lots of resources. You can send them a copy of your resume and they'll give you some feedback and help you improve it. They have tools to help you practice interviewing, networking. They have a couple of different things with that. They also use Handshake, where they have jobs that are posted. They do job fairs. They have lots of good stuff here. And once you graduate, you don't have access to career services anymore. So it's a good idea to start looking into this stuff now and build these skills so you're ready when it comes time to search for a job. And then Adriana, do you want to talk about licensure?
Sure. If you haven't already and you are thinking of pursuing licensure, be sure to find out what your state requires. A good way to do that is go to Google and then type your state and LCSW beside it and see what comes up. Also, going to the ASWB website will show you the requirements for each state. We'll link to them. There's a link I can send you guys that you click on your state and it shows you the exact places to go to find out what you need. So when you go there, you'll see they might not be all called the LCSW. Each state sort of calls their licensed clinical social work something a little bit different. So just be sure what you're looking for when you go to the website if you're looking to be a clinical social worker. That will list things like education, if you need any specific classes, how many hours of supervised practice you need to complete before you get your license, how to sign up to take the exam, all that kind of stuff. If you have any trouble finding that information, or you just feel overwhelmed or lost, or you're looking at multiple states, feel free to shoot me an email and I'm happy to help you navigate that process. You can also look at your local NASW chapter. That's a good resource to find out about licensure in your area. One of the things that you will need to provide your state board when you're applying for licensure is a transcript. So it's good to know how to request that transcript ahead of time. You're going to do this through your My UCF portal, much in the same way that we had you do the intent to graduate. You'll click the drop-down menu request, and you'll click on transcript request official. They've outsourced this to Parchment Services, so you'll be directed to another website, and there you'll be able to enter the board's address as the place that you'd like to have your transcript mailed. Or if you want a personal copy, or if you're sending it to an employer, you can enter their address there. Be sure that you are selecting hold for degree when you make your request, because if you don't, they're going to send it out immediately before you have finished your degree and before it is listed as conferred. So what the states are looking for, what your employer might be looking for, is that you've earned the degree. So be sure to check hold for degree so that they can send it after the degree has been conferred. That takes a few weeks after you have finished your field placement, you finished your classes. Because of the winter holidays, it is a little bit longer than that. So we're looking at, you're going to finish your program in December, you graduate in December, maybe mid-January. That would be my guess. I will let you know if I've heard of any delays or anything like that in the process. Like I said, they're doing a new sort of thing with diplomas and degrees now. So maybe it'll be an expedited process. I don't know, but I'll let you know whatever information that I hear about it. And you can submit your letters for licensure if your state requires one. Some just want to see that you've completed your program. Some states have specific things that need to be included, such as your education. So it might be called a certification of education, and it lists basically the dates that you're in the program and when you complete the program. Or they might want to know when you completed your clinical placement and where you completed it. So try to get that information before you make this request, so I know exactly what to send to the board or to you. But it basically, on that link, you'll fill out this information so that I can draft up the letter. It's just most important that I know what state you're trying to apply for licensure in and who you are. That way I can either reach out to you for any questions, or I can track down the information myself.
All right, now we come to the fun, exciting part of this program where Ms. Kutchman's going to talk to us a little bit about getting started as a social worker in the field. So, Ms. Kutchman, I always think of this portion as um, what I know now that I wish I knew then.
Okay.
So if
Yeah.
that helps to give you an idea of where to start, that would be great. But, and if any students, I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen. But if any students want to ask questions about getting licensed or getting started in the field, this would be a great time to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, I'd really like to open the floor on that. And, as y'all got a little bit of touch base on the licensure process, I know that was one of probably the bigger challenges, getting that off the ground and going when starting in the field, and maybe some anxieties about that and how to get it going. And so I definitely would like to open the floor if you all have any questions specifically about that process and things I maybe wished I would have known. I think some advice I got a couple years into the field. I had gone back to take a couple different courses in substance abuse, and the professor had kind of shared about mastering one area. That was his advice. I was definitely an eclectic social worker. I was tapping into CBT and client-centered, solution-focused, play therapy, just meeting my clients' needs where they were at. And I think that's still very valuable. And I know that now they have a name to it. They call it the eclectical approach. I just heard about, which is great. It didn't have the name back then. But his advice was master one area. And I have found that as I've been in the field for many years now, that probably would have been great if I had honed in on one, and maybe really solidified extra trainings and certifications in one area when I initially started out in the field. Then I could say, you know, when people ask, what's your expertise? What's your, you know, primary focus? I could say, well, you know, cognitive behavioral therapy is my primary focus in therapy modality, but I also do, and then add all those other parts. So I like to share that advice because I thought that was a good one, and it might have kind of spearheaded my you know, the trainings. I was taking trainings in all kinds of things, but it might have had me focus in one area to start and then add on. So I like to share that. And then play therapy, you heard me say that, something I learned again after I got licensed. I had wanted to go ahead and move to become a certified play therapist. And what I found out is after the fact that you need supervised experience for about 2 years, almost the same exact amount of time that you need for your licensure, by someone who is a certified play therapist themselves. And so at that point, I'd already gotten licensed, all my hours were done. So I wasn't able to at that time to start over with supervision for another 2 years. So I did not get certified in that, but maybe if I would have known that in the beginning, I would have found a supervisor who was certified in play therapy. So that's just one modality. I know there's a lot of other areas, but good information to maybe keep in the back of your mind when you're starting the process. So, but I want to open the floor to you all. Any questions you have about the licensure process? You know, maybe you've already taken steps. Any questions you're, you know, having along the way? Or anything else you might want to know about starting in the field?
You can also type in the chat if you don't, if you're not in a place where you can speak out loud or you don't feel
Sure.
comfortable doing that.
Yes.
I'll ask a question. My name is Jeannie. Hi.
Hi.
I'm graduating in the fall. So I have not reached out to any state board about licensing or anything yet, just because I am doing so much. I may try and do it, I guess, next week on the week off. So it's not too soon, then I can go ahead and start getting ready for that, I guess, is my question.
It's not too soon. And depending on your state, like Adriana and Renee were saying, every state has their different requirements. And in some states, like in the Carolinas, for example, I know that that state does require to take the master level exam as part of becoming a registered to start the licensure process. So, and you can take that while you're still in grad school. So in certain states, you can start the process, you know, beforehand, and in many, you know, it's a good idea. I'm in Florida. In Florida, it's probably once you graduate, it's okay to start at that point in time. You might be able to pull up the application, look at the questions, start getting it filled out, because you can go back into it and complete it. But in Florida, you're going to have the letters that Adriana was talking about. You're going to need to have the practicum letter stating that you have completed accredited internship, and for X amount of hours, you know, our 600 hours. So that's going to be needed. And you're going to have to identify a supervisor to complete your application. And they have to submit a letter to the state board saying, I agree to provide clinical supervision for Jeannie. And so that's all part of the process. So really in Florida, you know, and that's why it's good to take a look. And sometimes some are so clear and great. This past summer, I did a little workshop on it, and I looked at 16 states, and some states were beautifully laid out and some states were a little bit harder to follow, but yeah, but I can speak to that in Florida. I don't know, where are you, Jeannie?
I'm in Florida.
Okay, so I would say you could take a look at the application. You could start it up, create your account, start it online, but you really won't be able to finish it until after you graduate fully, you know,
Okay.
and have all those other supporting documents and the supervisor. And unless you're working somewhere where you already have, maybe they've offered you a position, and that's another thing. If you're interning somewhere and they've offered you a position, or you're doing an employment base and they've offered you a position, do they have a qualified supervisor to provide the clinical supervision for licensure? That's a great question to ask in the interviewing process too. Is that something that they can offer as part of the position? And so then you could get their contact information and kind of get the ball rolling if, like, you're in Florida where you have to have that information. I see questions popping up in chat box, so I'm going to take a quick look.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
had a couple of questions about, someone asked for the link for the licensure request letter. So Adriana posted
Oh,
that.
okay.
There were some questions about an LCSW being a supervisor being an LMHC versus an LCSW,
Okay.
which I did answer this question. In Florida, your supervisor for those hours towards your LCSW needs to be a Florida qualified supervisor. So they take a training course and register with the state in order to become a qualified supervisor. And if an LMHC is interested in supervising MSWs working towards their LCSW, they have to apply for that. And typically there's like some extra courses that they have to take to ensure that they're qualified to know, like, what is it exactly that a clinical social work intern should be doing. So
Yeah.
it's possible to have an LMHC be your qualified supervisor if they meet those criteria. So, and the Florida board website does have a place for you to search for supervisors, and it shows that information as well.
And Inez asked, she has her supervisor right now at her internship would like to become a qualified supervisor. So I included the link for Florida for where you can find out if somebody wants to be your supervisor and they don't have the qualification in Florida, that's where they would look for the requirements.
Yeah.
So, and one thing I would say too, like, even though it might be too soon to actually submit your full application for whatever your initial licensure is in your state, it's not too soon to find out what the requirements are, because a lot of, speaking generally, they're looking for an MSW from a CSW accredited program, which we have. And then they want you to do some amount of supervised practice. That's in some states a calendar period of time, in some states it's a clock hour period of time, in some states it's a combination of both. In addition to that, some states require an ASWB master's level exam, some states do not. Some states only require an exam for the clinical level, or both. So it's important to know what those are, when you're eligible to sit for those exams. And if there's any additional things. So for example, in Florida, there's domestic violence workshop and an HIV workshop and a ethics workshop. In New York State, I think they also have like a child abuse type workshop that they want people to take. So there's some coursework that they'll be looking for, and professional development type coursework that would be some one-time class that you would attend. So it's good to find out what those are so you can start doing some of those things and be ready to submit your application.
Yeah. Those are all great points in that, and definitely good to explore that website ahead of time, because it's a lot of information on there for some of them in different parts to get going. Any other questions about kind of what to expect entering into the profession or getting started in the profession? Where can you take the workshops in Florida? And Renee, you might have some other thoughts. I know that it's through, wow, it just went out of my head, but you can find them at NASW chapters. They oftentimes have these workshops online. It's also CE Broker, which that you'll get more familiar with once you get licensed, but they have a number of accredited workshops, and it's just cebroker.com. I believe, I know we could probably get the exact link and send it. I have it in that PowerPoint that I did, but yeah, they'll have it listed. But I think any one of those two places you can find. And once you get registered, you're going to start getting flyers in the mail. A lot of information come your way about these workshops, and promoting them in your area.
For Florida, just if you go to the licensing website, it does have a link for CE Broker.
Okay.
I'm going to include the link for the Florida licensure, and then we can also get you that CE Broker link directly.
Mhm.
So Ms. Cushman, maybe you could talk to us a little bit about what it's like in those first couple of years while you're working in the field and having supervision and trying to get your hours, and what are some things we should be thinking about?
Well, I know I kind of touched on, specialty areas. If there are any areas that you want to specialize in, that might be something to, talk to your supervisor about, make sure that's incorporated in your supervision so you can gear your work towards that, getting those specialized trainings and maybe working with cases that you can start using the skill set with to get specialized in it, to get to master in that area. It's you kind of, I felt when I started out, and Renee, Adriana, you guys might have a similar, but you kind of hit the ground running. I feel I was, you're so excited. I know I was excited to get going, get started. I definitely felt that imposter syndrome that I know we hear about a lot in clinical year. I know I have read in my classes, feeling that. I remember feeling that in internship, but it was still lingering to some extent, definitely when you first get started. And I think that's totally normal. And for me, just remembering that you're still learning in the first couple of years for sure, and taking advantage of that time that you still have. You have clinical supervision that you can, much as you did during the internship, utilizing that to its fullest, asking questions, kind of breaking out your cases and getting that support and feedback, because some areas are learning the rules and policies in our area for abuse reporting. And I was just remembering, starting out child on child abuse reporting. That was something that hit me first out of the gate, that I did not have during my clinical internship, and learning about those laws. So being able to kind of tag team with those that have been in the profession. So I think that's a viable part. But just that for me, using your supervision, getting the process going. If for licensure, I did, sometimes we can wait and then years fly by. I kind of dragged my feet. I waited. It was a year went by without even blinking, it felt like, and I hadn't gotten it all in. So that time could have counted, right? So getting that process going, if that's your kind of long-term goal. And on the flip side, though, what I've seen with some, if you're not sure you're going to be, maybe life events are taking place, you're not sure you're going to be fully immersed in clinical work to start, you might want to discern getting registered for licensure, waiting for that on the flip side, because there's and most states have, it's 4 to 5 years a window to meet all the requirements for licensure. So I've had some where life events came up. Maybe they weren't really ready to get registered, but they did. And then before they knew it, they had to take some time out. The 5-year limit was coming up. So I think those are things to be mindful of when you're starting out. Get going if you're ready and kind of able, but if some major life things are coming up, maybe sit down and discern, is this the best time to get to registered and start the process of, I'm not going to be immersed in the field yet. in the profession. So, um, other things I'm trying to think. How about, I mean, and Renee, I know you kind of turned to me, but
How
you've
about,
also
I
been in the
know,
mental,
I
yeah,
always think about like the importance of self-care when you're starting out because
yeah.
it's, you know, that you're really, you know, you're taking everything that you've learned about in school and now you're putting it, you know, into practice. And, you know, hopefully by the time you're coming up on your graduation, you have an idea of the things that help you to feel like you have recharged your batteries and you're ready to take on the challenges of the day. And you know, and that you're keeping that commitment to yourself to be practicing those things regularly so that you don't you know, succumb to pressure and stress and, you know, you're
Mhm.
really, you know, this is a profession where you're at risk for burnout, so it's important that you are purposeful about your self-care and making sure that you are taking care of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, yeah, we can think things are going to get lighter once we graduate, but then you get so immersed in all the multiple facets. So keeping that good work-life balance.
Any more questions for Ms. Kutchman?
I see something in the chat box. Did we already answer that? I know that after we graduate, we needed to accumulate 1,500 hours before licensing. Okay, and mention it, honing in on one area of therapy expertise and or specialty area of interest. I have an option to continue. Like, I do want me to read it out loud, or I can read it. This is from
Yeah, if you
Justine.
would, because
Okay,
it doesn't show up on the recording, so it's helpful
okay,
to read it. Yeah, thank you.
okay. So the question is, I know that after we graduate, we need to accumulate 1,500 plus hours before licensing. I heard you mention how helpful it is to hone in on one area of therapy expertise and or specialty area of interest. I have an option to continuing my clinical internship into the postgraduate hours. I'm interested in looking into an area of social work that is more of my interest, but haven't seen paid associate positions in that area of interest as of yet. Yeah. And that can be one of the challenges, for sure. It's good to hone in if you can, but that's why I think it's good to explore it if it's an option. But if it's not an option that's opening up and you want to get started in the field, you have the opportunity to get started in the field, you know, I believe it will come, you know, it will happen. I just like to give that insight to explore it up front to see if it is something you can get combined while working on your licensure hours. Get specialty hours, such as like with EMDR, you can do training and certification, but you can't finish it until after you get licensed anyways, but you can start the process. So I would keep your eyes open for that opportunity, but don't let it necessarily hold you back from getting going, because sometimes, right, we get into the field, we get into the profession, and then other doors start to open, we start to network, and we'll find it, attending trainings and find that opportunity. But you can be starting the process in the meantime, because it takes a minimum of 2 years to meet the requirements. So to meet that 1,500 and the 100 hours of supervision, if you're in Florida and other states, it's more than 100 hours of supervision. Did that answer your question, Justine?
Yes, that did very well. And I was just going to follow that up with how good does it look to have a different set of positions while working toward that 1,500 plus hours?
I mean, does that have an impact if you see different positions on the resume? A couple different,
Yes, to add
yeah.
up to the 1,500 plus hours.
Yeah. I think if you're wanting to have different experience, or do you mean, does it look not look good if you have too many positions in a short period of time? Is it that, or do you mean, is it positive to have?
Yes, that is something that I'm thinking about. Is it positive to have an array of different experiences along the way to, like, I live in California, by example, and we need 3,000 hours
Mhm.
postgraduate. So I look at that 3,000, and is it good to stay in one position, or is it good to explore different ones? And would that package look better to have a variation?
Yeah.
Justine, this is an area, sorry to jump in, Ms.
No.
Kutchman. I'm thinking that this is an area where your local NASW chapter could really help you. Because I think that some of these things are location specific. Like in Florida, I think that sometimes it's tricky to find um, like certain areas, certain populations as a registered intern. That's basically our associate, right? There aren't a lot of paid positions at that level for people who are working towards licensure. That's kind of the way it is in Florida. In other states, like once you get that initial, associate, like they'll hire you, they'll take you on, they'll have you do everything, they'll train you, all that stuff. So it might really be good to connect with your NASW chapter. They can kind of tell you what to expect in your area, and what would look good or not look good, in terms of looking for different positions, and also help you network to find those positions, find those trainings, find all those things that are really, you know, valued in your region.
Thank you very much on that, Renee. I think that's a great idea.
Any other questions before we, I guess, did jump off, or yeah.
Yeah, I will I'll go back to sharing my screen again. We just have a couple of slides, really. Let's see here. Just a couple of reminders about who to connect with next. Let's see here. If I can, well, maybe, let's see. Let me share my screen and we'll go from there. This one here. I think it's this one. Let's see here.
I'm
There
going to
we
answer
go.
the question in the chat really quick.
Sure, you do that.
Thank you so much for taking time to meet with us. I'm sure I speak for everyone when I say I appreciate all the help all of you have provided the last couple of years. Thank you. Quick question. Commencement will be at 2 p.m. or 6:30 p.m. on December 15th. 2 p.m. 2 p.m. And there's a breakdown of the schedule on that commencement website. So I'll link it in the chat here.
Yeah, we are part of the College of Health Professions and Sciences. Okay, so last is really just getting connected with the people here. So, Ms. Kutchman is a wealth of knowledge, and I'm sure if you have her for your field class, you're feeling all of that benefit. But don't forget that you have your success coach. So Barbara, her role here for you is to really help you with goal setting, staying motivated, getting to graduation. So if you are thinking about things and you're wondering, how am I going to accomplish all these things in such a short amount of time in terms of like getting going with your career, Barbara can really help you with developing plans and helping you stay on track with that. So she's also really great with things like career strategies, stress management, time management, organization. So these are some really great tools that she can help you with as you're wrapping up your time here in the program. And then lastly, don't forget to connect with your advisor. So Adriana is your main point of contact in terms of advising, because as you all know, my last day here at UCF is just a few days away. So any questions that you have about commencement, your student spotlight slides, licensure, all that good stuff, Adriana is a wealth of knowledge, and you can reach out to her directly anytime. So, and that is the extent of our presentation today. So I'll open it up for any final questions.
Somebody asks regarding the graduation. I was wondering if it is possible for us to attend both the virtual and in-person graduation. Yes. We're going to have them on different days. So you won't have to choose which one you want to go to. If you want to go to both, you definitely can. And oh, sorry. Also, the second part of that question was it saying,
Yeah, I
no, you,
just wanted to clarify the second part. So did
yeah,
you see that? Okay, I'll
yes,
let you go.
yeah. It is accessible to everyone. They live stream it on their YouTube and their UCF Facebook. So you can send that link to your family, the one that's in person. Or if anybody comes with you on campus and can't get into the stadium with a ticket, they can go to one of these areas on campus. And then will there be an in-person reception after the commencement for the fall 2023 cohort who are walking in the commencement? It would be neat to see our classmates in person and maybe get a cohort picture. That is so fun and definitely up to you. That might be something that if you're on our Facebook, you can post about. There's an area on the advising portal you can post as well. And I can definitely encourage others in the cohort to post about it. Sometimes the students do meet up and then they we'll go have dinner or go have some sort of fun before or after the ceremony. So we have had that happen before.
We do not have a formal a formal
Formal reception.
gathering during
Yeah.
commencement. So during the virtual, so there's two different things. There's a virtual graduation celebration that our program hosts, and during that, you know, we have people that come and sort of offer up congratulatory messages, and then we go through the student spotlight slides, and any students who are present are given an opportunity to speak to their classmates, to their families. Someone leads the group in the social work oath. Um, our school director, Dr. Terrio, usually gives a brief speech. She's very, very peppy and motivational, and you know, it's very intimate. It's really meant to be a chance for you to get together and connect with people. We usually let family members who attend speak if they want to as well, so they can kind of chime in, which is always fun to hear. So that's the virtual graduation celebration. Commencement is in person, right? So you're there, you line up, right? Walk across stage. That's whole thing, right? It's like most traditional commencements, but they live stream it so people can watch that online while it's happening. So that's the virtual aspect of that, but they are not the same event. You can attend one or the other or both. It just really depends on your preference. You're welcome. Glad we could answer those questions. So you'll see on the graduation website that we referenced um, that there's a couple of different places on campus where you can get photo opportunities as well. So take some fun pictures on campus. And one of those is something called Grad Walk, where you can come in and walk across the stage and your family can take pictures and things like that. So that's also a fun opportunity for students. So will the commencement live stream link be sent via email?
I feel like they probably send it to your student email amongst all the student emails you're getting to that
Yeah.
account. I can share it on our Facebook and our advising portal so that everybody has it before the ceremony. We typically do not send a link to everybody via email, but I can definitely send a blast that will end up in your email.
Yeah, and I think the link to watch it live will be on that graduation website. So if you started there,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
would land on it.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you everyone for attending today and asking such great questions. And you know, we look forward to seeing you graduate and finish your time here in the program and go out into the world and be awesome social workers. And if you need anything, feel free to reach out to us.